but wanted to preface this with, obviously, we all hint on our show that we bank all our episodes like 6 months in advance. So, people that we're talking to, they could be dead by the time this is out. We've already had one casualty. The Chuck and Brad podcast is no longer with us, and it was promoted at the end of this episode. And I felt like it would be weird to have my buddy Chuck on to promote a dead thing. So I thought have him come on at the beginning to promote his new thing.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
No problem. So at the end of the episode, I'm too lazy to do any edits, so you're getting it up front. So when you hear Chuck and Brad in your head in this episode, just pretend it says Fun Bearable.
Yeah, so Brad and I have been doing a podcast called the Chuck and Brad Podcast for like 13 years. And recently we merged with our buddy Ray Harrington, who was doing a podcast called Ray Harrington Must Content. And the new podcast is called Fun Bearable. We thought it was the best move for everybody. And we thought it was a cool way to kind of start over with a new, I guess, like dedication to quality. And I'm really happy where the Chuck and Brad podcast was with quality. But if you look back 13 years prior, we started at a very rocky place. There was no such thing as XML feeds at the time. We were recording with two tin cans that had strings that went to our recorder. So we were like, well, let's start over with Fun Bearable. So Fun Bearable is the new podcast. Just launched last week. We have episode 1 and 2 up now, and episode 3 will be coming this Thursday. Mark Normand, comedian from New York, great guy, good friend of mine, was on episode 2. So we're cooking. We're out there. We're doing the new podcast, and it's almost like it's this timing is like fortunate to help us push Fun Bearable.
Yeah, it works out. That it's like within the first week that your episode is coming out. I definitely had that planned. I foresaw the demise of the Chuck and Brad podcast. I could see the writing on the wall. But
these guys are hanging on by a thread.
Yeah, they're coming to an end. 13 years, yeah, that's it. So I can personally tell the listeners of Reviewing History that I have seen 2 episodes be filmed. I helped out, and they were great. And I liked what I saw last week. So definitely check out Fun Bearable.
I appreciate it. Yeah, Rupert was a key factor in, I'm in New York, and Brad and Ray, my co-hosts, are in Rhode Island, and we're going to kind of go back and forth because I have a place there and a place here, and so we're going to record in both places. But they came up to New York, and we did a bunch of guest interviews, or guest appearances for Fun Bearable, including, like I said, Mark Norman, Joe List, Walton Gedham from the Tell 'em Steve Dave crew. And Rupert was instrumental in helping us capture all this stuff with a very fun episode with some video games coming up that was awesome. And then the actual episode with Walton Gedham and this retro Marvel board game, which I'm so psyched for.
I can't wait to see how that comes out. I'm really curious. Because on my end, I'm holding a camera and just trying to get everything. So when it's edited, I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Hell yeah, buddy. Yeah, I appreciate it so much. You getting involved, and it means a lot to me.
No problem. I'm happy to help, and if you're listening to Reviewing History, definitely check out Fun Bearable.
Hell yeah.
All right, well, enjoy the episode of our show with Chuck, and he'll be on some other time, and I hope to get Ray and Brad on at some point, too.
Yeah, and you gotta come on Fun Bearable sometime.
Oh, I would love it. All right. Well,
yeah.
All right, enjoy the episode, guys. Bye. Our conversation with Chuck. In this part, we're going to play some games and give our picks for the next movie. Part 1 we released as a bonus to help Chuck promote his show. We did that at the end of July. Check that out, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Thanks for checking us out. Bye.
So, I mean, I have a couple of Rhode Island facts that are going to transfer us over to this.
Okay.
Rhode Island was the first in many sports, much like your sportsmen. They had the first ever outdoor polo match in the U.S., the first open golf tournament, and the first national lawn tennis championship.
Did they have anything that wasn't ritzy?
Loves rich people games.
It was one of the few states that never approved prohibition. Pretty interesting.
Oh, wow. I really respect that.
First circus.
Wait, hold on. How did they get around that?
They didn't. They just voted against it.
Oh, okay.
It said they never approved the 18th Amendment banning the sale of alcohol.
And that's because there were a ton of guineas there.
It says
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Hey, this is cunning biz.
Yeah.
Newport, Rhode Island had the first circus and the first jazz fest in the country.
That's interesting.
The first jazz fest?
In 1954,
You would think Harlem.
Newport hosted America's first
Harlem,
jazz
I would have
festival.
thought like Southern something.
Right?
Like, that's
Yeah. Ready? Though most attribute the start of the Revolutionary War to the Boston Tea Party, nearly 2 years before that historic moment, Rhode Islanders burned down a British ship called the Gatsby, killing one of the warship's
The
officers.
Gatsby?
Yeah.
I guess it wasn't so great, was it, guys? USA!
Roger Williams, a revolutionary thinker, and his ideas about the freedom of religion was banned from Plymouth, Massachusetts, which is what you were talking about. Okay. They have the oldest church.
Oldest
and-
church in the country?
Yeah. It said
That seems.
the oldest Roman Catholic church.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Oh, wait. So let's see. And so the thing I wanted to talk about, the historical thing that I thought might be a little bit more legit than just coffee syrup, is kind of a precursor to what's it called? Oh man, what's it called?
Incest.
No.
Usually we hit
That's what we
incest.
we
talk
hit
about
incest
on
all
the
the time on the show, so we had to do it at least once.
No, the what's it called? That fucking place where they had the crazy nuclear explosion.
Chernobyl.
It's a precursor to Chernobyl. It happened in Rhode Island.
Really?
Yeah. Let me see. I'm trying to pull it up. The internet is being slow.
not
Let's see.
Indian Point, right?
Let me
Or
see.
3 Mile Island.
Yeah, I thought that was
that's in
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's Pennsylvania. I'm waiting for the internet to load this webpage. Come on, man.
So while it's loading,
Yes.
what do you know about this just offhand?
I didn't. I thought we were going to find out about it together.
All right.
Well, nuclear power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it the thing that'll save the world, or is it more trouble than it's worth?
I know that someone died in this explosion, and it was an accident.
If there's
This was a nuclear thing?
It was the first nuclear. I think it's. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull it up on my phone. I don't know why it's not loading right now. Sorry.
no, it's
Rhode
okay.
Island's got a lot of firsts.
I know.
Yeah, Rhode
I
Island.
didn't know that.
Well, you know what happened? Here's one of the things I realized as I was like traveling over the past like several years. When you're in the northeast part of the country, there's so much more history than the rest of the country.
It's older.
Because it's older. It's like so simple. It's like the original colonies have so much more history than fucking Texas or
Right.
Idaho.
I mean,
it only makes sense.
Massachusetts, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
What
Virginia, all those places started in the 1600s.
What I like to do is I go to Alaska and I'm like, you guys got no history, and I just start yelling at the Inuits. And I'm just like,
That would offend
Northeast,
some
baby,
people, yeah.
Northeast.
All right, we should say written history.
Yeah.
Who are you, me?
You ready for this? Before 3 Mile Island, before Chernobyl, Wood River Junction in Charlestown, Rhode Island, had the first civilian nuclear accident resulting in the death of an employee in 1964.
So they just had one Frank Grimes motherfucker there.
It says the accident happened on July 24th of that year at the semi-secret United Nuclear Corporation. The victim was a 37-year-old Robert Peabody, a production technician working a second job to help support his wife Anna. And
Oh my God.
his wife Anna and 9 children.
This is
Oh my god!
this guy has the shittiest luck on the planet. He's the one employee.
United Nuclear Corporation.
And he's tired as fuck.
Yeah. You know, a part of him was like, thank fucking God.
Do you think he just got the second job to not be with the 9 children?
Yes. United Nuclear Corporation recovered usable uranium from previously used uranium, such as control rods from nuclear reactors. The process involved purifying the
That's
scrap.
what Steve calls his dick, his control rod.
The process involved purifying.
Yeah.
That's what he uses on that big stuff down
Yeah.
A joke when it's fact.
The process involved purifying the scrap through a series of chemical treatments to extract the usable uranium. Peabody, as usual, worked a second shift at the Wood River Junction nuclear facility. That enabled him to work his day job as a mechanic. On that evening, he was to add a chemical to the vat, which he did. However, He used the wrong chemical, which instantly started a uranium chain reaction and an explosion.
That's a historic fuck up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you caused a nuclear reactor.
That guy's so happy the Russians did what they did just to get all the heat off him. You know?
The blast threw him to the floor and splashed radioactive liquid off the 12-foot ceiling and all over him. So first of all,
I've been splashed with cancer.
why didn't he become a superhero? That's what I want to know.
At least Toxic Avenger, right?
The accident set off all the emergency sirens. They screamed throughout the building, radiation leak, a bad one. What? Peabody got himself up and started running to the company emergency shack 450 feet away. He tore all of his clothing off along the way, but he didn't make it. He collapsed to the ground, vomiting with blood running out of his nose and ears. The accident exposed Peabody to more radiation than anyone had since Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Wow.
Oh my
2 days
God.
later, he passed away from radiation poisoning.
It's shocking you made it that long.
Yeah.
It's shocking he actually was able to get any clothes off.
Yeah,
That's
right?
what you're supposed to do, but that's...
Yeah.
Wow. You know, you don't like to say someone deserved it, but you're dealing with nuclear waste. You can't read the fucking label.
How about this? Ready for this? They sent him to
second shift.
They sent him to Rhode Island Hospital in Providence, almost 45 miles away. Ready for this? To compound the unfolding tragedy, Robert Peabody's wife caught up with him. She briefly held his hand.
Oh, no.
He was so radioactive that she contracted lymphoma.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was about to say.
That's what happened to people in Chernobyl, too.
That's so crazy. Because his body was so radioactive, it wasn't safe to bury it.
Holy shit.
The bishop of the Diocese of Providence was petitioned for permission to cremate him.
I really was hoping you were going to say they shot it into space. That's what I was hoping for.
I know what a lot of the dead guys in Chernobyl, they encased them in concrete.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But even that, if the concrete breaks, it's still bad.
It does. This does have a happy ending. United Nuclear made a small cash settlement of $22,000 to his family, which left them destitute.
Righteous bucks.
Which left them destitute?
Which left them destitute.
Oh, good. That makes me happy.
Wait, 22 grand killed the company?
No, I think it meant the family.
Yeah. They left the
was
family destitute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they lost both their parents and there's 9 kids.
Here's $22,000.
22,000. That means what? 2.5 per kid, basically.
What year is this?
1954.
Oh, that's plenty.
Or
It's like
64.
that's like $60,000. You're fine.
Oh my God, that's brutal.
That's
so
rough.
brutal.
You know, he fucked up. At some point, the
think
employees
he
need
fucked up?
need to accept responsibility.
You are a man for compassion. I know that.
I am a humanitarian. Like, I would give the guy aid. Like, I would donate money to like a GoFundMe to
I
help
thought you were
him.
saying AIDS. I would give the guy AIDS.
He's already got radiation.
He's a humanitarian.
Let's give him AIDS.
Brian has a gift. that
Dr.
he
Rupert's
gives to
just
people.
injecting him. Why are you doing
I know how to help him.
He is a bug chaser.
I've always wanted to give someone AIDS. Can we just do it?
It's been a long dream of mine.
It's just a misconception of his for years.
Wow, Chuck, you
Give
brought
him
some
aid.
you brought some good stories. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was gonna say. What was I gonna say just now? Fuck, I lost it.
Was it about AIDS or cancer?
It was about AIDS.
Was it about me
giving him
being
All the
for
funny
big
things in life.
corporations?
I was gonna say, have you guys seen the movie Knives Out?
Love it.
It's one of my favorite movies ever. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, you'll like that.
You will like it.
I gotta watch a lot of movies.
Have you seen Knives Out? It's incredible.
It's made past 2000. There's no way he saw it.
But it's the movie, and this is not a spoiler because it's revealed immediately in the movie. Revolves around two different bottles that look very similar, and someone being injected something from the wrong bottle. So that's kind of like a very similar thing. Where
Yeah.
you probably thought that the bottles were similar, or whatever. He's like, I'm supposed
Oh,
to put
yeah.
this in, and he just
After a
poured the wrong
long
thing.
shift and probably being up all night feeding 9 children.
Imagine that you're working with a chemical where it's like you have to add this other chemical to this chemical every day or whatever.
Or
and
you-
if you
or you
add the
die.
wrong, or if you add the wrong one, it might explode and kill you and your wife if she even sees you after that.
That's a triple check
Well,
situation.
because but also because you're working at a nuclear facility, and I'm not saying I know this from personal experience, but kind
What,
of.
you don't work in a nuclear
We've all
facility?
seen The Simpsons.
No,
Yeah.
so one of my other jobs, I
Nuclear
was a
physicist.
software engineer for a specific company.
Yeah.
That their client was
They
a
created the
nuclear
uranium
facility.
that goes to Iran.
Their client was a nuclear facility, and the programmer there, who I had to work with, is not allowed in the facility anymore because he had too much radiation that if he walks into the facility again, he will die. he hit the point, like the barrier, where if he just gets a little more, he's dead.
Wow.
Yeah. So you kind of
fucked.
know going into that situation that you're in a dangerous environment.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you have certain responsibilities, especially if you're like the one person on, that if something goes wrong, you know you're the one going in there and to fix it, and you're going to die. Otherwise, a lot more people are going to die. So look at, what was it, the 8 or the 9 from Japan when that reactor had a meltdown?
Fukushima.
Do you know what I'm talking? Yeah. When that had a reactor meltdown, the people who had to go in, they didn't come out. They went in
No, they went in knowing they were going to
knowing
die.
they were going to die.
It's like Spock. When
They're
he-
heroes. They are legit heroes and everyone should know their names, and nobody probably does.
But this guy that did this thing though, do you think that they had that much information 60 years ago?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Oh
because-
yeah.
Yeah, I understand that, but the only
You need a guy like this to fuck up first.
right. The only
That's what I'm
nuclear
wondering.
experience anyone had was
No, he
was
knew.
Hiroshima.
No, he knew.
And Nagasaki.
They knew. Do you know how you know they knew? He took his clothes off.
Yeah, well,
He knew that his clothes,
that's-
if they got radiated, you have to take them off.
that's based on the atomic
Really?
bomb.
Oh, if a nuclear explosion happens, yeah, and you're close enough within the radiation, you have to take your clothes off.
Chuck, next time you're in a bar, there's a bomb going off. Just take it off. Go to the girls next to you.
Because you're
Be
clothes,
immune to judo guys.
your clothes will have radiation on it. It's bad.
That was good.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good callback. Yeah, it's
Great
it's
callback.
interesting.
Wow, that's good. Good brain.
Yeah. So, cancer and radiation. What a laugh, right, guys?
So were those good topics to bring to the table?
Perfect.
Great. I'd
Love
like
them.
to follow it up with some
They're
child
very
sacrifice,
random.
if you don't mind.
Child sacrifice? Yes,
Wait,
please.
Is that what you brought to the table?
It's part of it, yeah.
Wow.
All right, I have a lighthearted thing. So if you want to go into the sacrifice,
Sure.
We'll end with lighthearted.
Well,
that's
and
fine.
lighthearted, just because this is going to be
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
it's going to be comical.
A lot of fun.
Actually, I'm worried mine's not going to be as fun.
I want to talk about you guys had, modern fun things.
Yeah.
I'm going a little further back.
Okay.
6th century BC.
Okay.
I want
you're
to talk
way
about Hanno the Navigator and
Great name.
Kind of more specifically how we know about him. I
All
always
right.
found this to be an interesting story. So, Hanno the Navigator is the first guy from the Mediterranean to travel south down the African coast by sailing west, not east. So there was a guy from Egypt who had sailed, south from Egypt, from Egyptian's land, and gone down on the east side of the continent. But on the west side, there was a Carthaginian named Hanno the Navigator. And we know about this because in the year 142 BC, roughly 350 years after he made his journey, the Romans conquered Carthage.
Okay.
And what was going on, if you can imagine, it's the final.
Was Vigo from there?
Viggo Mortensen?
No, Vigo from Ghostbusters 2.
He's the Carpathian.
He's a Carpathian. Okay.
That was
Okay.
good. That was good. That was good.
Okay. Sorry.
We'll give it to you.
If you can imagine the final chapter of the 3 Punic Wars, the Romans really fucking hate the Carthaginians.
Yeah.
They've broken down the gates. The Romans are inside. People are
They're in
dying.
Africa.
Yes, they're in the city.
Where? What like country would that be today?
Modern day Tunisia.
Okay.
Tunis.
Oh, so they're at the very top.
Yes.
Okay.
North Africa.
North Af.
So Carthage was a city of 350,000 people. And it is said in the writings about this that every 2 meters was a dead body. In
From the
streets.
Romans?
No, from the Carthaginians. They're just killing
Oh,
everyone.
okay.
The Carthaginians are hiding in their homes with knives and pots and pans trying to just live. But the Carthaginians were known to worship this god called Baal Hamun and
Baal?
his wife Tanit. Baal, yes.
Okay.
And in their temple in the center of the city, a Greek auxiliary, we are pretty sure he was Greek. So they worship this god. And in this temple, in this god's temple in the center of the city, a Roman mercenary, like he must have spoke Greek
Okay.
and Phoenician. We know he must have been bilingual. That is all we know about this guy.
So he liked
temple.
men and women.
Yes. Right.
Yes,
Yes.
clear.
You're obviously telling this story for Pride Month.
June, I'm waving the flag.
Yeah.
August.
August. Yeah. Sorry. Fuck.
So he goes in the temple. And in this temple, they had 2 types of sacrifices, non-blood and blood. So you have things like beads and gold and rings and diamonds and all that stuff is up on the wall. And blood sacrifices, which could be animals or bugs or children. So they would, imagine the city's about to fall. The people of Carthage would rather their babies fall into the hands of the god than the Romans.
You want to deliver them to
so
Baal.
there's literally thousands of dead babies in this temple. So you can imagine this guy's horrified.
Alice Cooper loved it when he time traveled and came up with the idea for the song.
Yes,
Yeah,
dead babies.
he traveled there.
Very
He's a time
exciting.
traveler?
Yeah, Alice Cooper. Yep.
But out of all that carnage, what got this guy more excited or more
Erect.
interested was 3 on the wall in a place of prominence where he could see them. 3 skins that were 350 years old. We know now, he didn't know that, but they looked human, but they were covered in hair, and he had no clue what they were. And underneath these skins was a pillar, and it's written in the Carthaginian language, which was like their brand of Phoenician.
So wait, so it's like exceptionally hairy human skin up there.
Is it like
It's
stretched
basically
out?
like
It's
if you
basically
were a
me.
coat.
Yes.
Is it like stretched out skin?
Yeah, it's like
a carpet.
Like
almost?
imagine 350-year-old leather,
Buffalo Bill.
Okay.
right?
All right.
And there's 3 of them up there. So he wrote down. He sat down in this temple and wrote everything that was. He translated it. So that's how we know he was bilingual. He translated it from Phoenician into Greek and brought it back to Rome. Somehow, this manuscript fell into the hands of Pliny the Elder, who is a Roman historian, and that is the only reason we know this ever fucking happened. Because when the Romans were done with Carthage, they demolished every stone of it, ripped the whole city down, burned everything, sowed the fields with salt so that nothing would grow there ever again. It is completely gone.
So hold on. If you like take over like a crop, right? So if we went to a farmer, we wanted to fuck with a farmer, and we just burnt down his like cornfield and we pour salt on it, it would never grow again.
If you do it enough, yeah, salt will not allow the
It takes
crops to
moisture,
grow.
so
I'm not a farmer, but
Yeah.
well, it sucks
I
the
didn't know
moisture
that.
out of the earth, and
Right, it makes
without
the- makes the
moisture, the,
soil
minerals
useless.
are gone. Yeah,
So, what it said on this manuscript is that this guy Hanno, 350 years before this happened, took 60 ships filled with 5,000 people and sailed them west past the Straits of Gibraltar and founded multiple cities along the African coast. And as he sailed further south, he went further than anyone had gone before at that point. And he started to run into black people, which they were not very familiar with at the
The Carthaginians aren't black.
No, the Carthaginians are Phoenician colonists. They're kind of like from Israel.
Greek, Egyptian.
Greekish,
Middle
Egypt-
Eastern.
yeah.
Okay.
And they brought some of the locals with them on their journeys to help them translate as they went further and further south. And eventually, they got to this. They like saw a volcano. They built like a temple to the sea god, which the remains have actually been found,
Oh,
thus corroborating this story. So it's actually been proven by archaeologists that this happened. They got to this island where, in Hanno's words, they found a tribe of men who were covered in hair, and they had rocks thrown at them, and they did battle with them, and they managed to capture 3 with them, killed them, and skinned them alive. The locals called them gorillas. So it is the first time gorillas were ever brought back, and like not European, but Mediterranean people ever contacted or knew anything about apes.
Oh, so it wasn't
Wow.
human skin. It
No.
was
It was
apes.
gorillas.
They thought it was human skin when,
Yeah.
when they met them. They thought they were like
Might have thought
weird,
they were like gods.
It was bad gorillas.
Yes, Amy.
Amy, yes.
ugly gorillas.
I wonder. So what? This was what year?
We're talking
did this happen?
the second half of the 6th century BC, so like the 700s. We're talking almost 3,000 years ago.
Let's think. I'm trying to. I wonder because like you have a lot of mythology, like minotaurs and stuff like that. I wonder if that kind of stemmed from there,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, I'm sure.
Like the minotaur kind of idea
Oh,
might have come
interesting.
from,
And this-
or at least some form of the mythology.
This was a big deal back in Rome because it was like nothing they had ever seen
Of
before.
course, it's a monster.
I have a
Right.
question that you might not have the answer to. So between them finding these beings and saying, "Oh, these are hairy humans," and then like discovering, "Oh no, this is actually just like a different species. It's gorillas, whatever." How much time passed?
I mean, those people. Well, like I said, these things were on the temple.
Right.
So as far as those people ever knew,
They never
were a
found
race
out.
of human beings, right?
Right.
And the word gorilla came from some of these African tribes,
Right.
that they had encountered down there.
Right.
So
It means he who throws
we
feces.
with retrospective can infer that they were most likely some kind of ape.
Right.
You know, whether they're gorillas or orangutans or something like that, I don't know.
The
Right.
first person running into a gorilla like assuming you're alone, you probably didn't survive. But if it's like a pair and you see your partner just getting ripped to shreds by a big monster, like you have to think that's from the gods. You have to.
Yeah.
Like that is terrifying.
Well, you could also prank your buddies. You go, bang on your chest, watch, they love it. And your friend starts banging on his chest
Just
and they
yelling.
gorillas.
It's interesting though when you think about like living back at this like older time period where like people were still discovering things and there wasn't a lot of sharing of information because you couldn't. I wonder how much of you was like, oh yeah, a new thing, like could you see like a fox and be like,
I think
oh,
it's-
that's a new thing.
It's very easy to understand how mythology came about. you
Yeah.
know, when you think about just how people's lives, like we have art and TV shows and movies that can show us the rest of the world. The outside
Right.
world of these people is completely unknown. If it's not
Yeah.
in your local area, you
Yeah.
have fucking no clue what it is.
Yeah,
You don't even know if there's something past your local area.
Right.
Well, it's funny. Think about if you're like living in like Massachusetts like so long ago, and for some reason you find like an armadillo when you travel south for some
Yeah.
reason for the first time.
Yeah,
You're like,
that's exciting.
You're like, this rat is sick.
I've only seen this on ELP covers.
That was good. So Hanno.
Hanno, man.
Yeah.
All right, dead babies. All right.
Damn.
So what do you got, Steve?
So, I brought something. Now, usually I do people and it involves incest. I kind of went away from that this time. I know. I'm bringing the Great War of 1932, which
I
not
don't
many
know.
people know about.
See, I hear Great War and I think World War One.
You think so, but this is right after World War One.
This is a better war.
This is the war.
Okay.
This war takes place in Australia. It is also called the Great Emu War.
Yes.
Emu.
Emu War.
Wow,
bird.
I like it.
The bird.
Fallout Boy was there. My Chemical
They were all the
Romance.
boys. All the boys. Now,
That's
I'm gonna
the
give you,
emo war.
I'm going to give you a little background because this is one of the more interesting stories I've come across in a long time, and it's actually very popular right now. So right after World War I, there was about 5,000 veterans that came home, and they were granted land by their government, the Australian government. Because they were granted so much land, they had to spread west. And they
Further
had to,
past where they had settled
further
before.
past, yep. But due to the Depression in 1929, I believe the Depression was 1929.
Yeah. And I correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Australia have like a population of like no more than 3 million people or something like that?
At this point, it was low.
Yeah.
It was low. But because they expanded so far, they created a lot more farmland. And the government was like, the Depression's happening. We need you to grow some wheat. And they're like, all right, I guess this is what we're doing now. We're going to grow wheat. They're going to get some nice subsidies. And that's what they're going to do now. So because the pricing was so difficult, there was a strain. To add to the difficulties, 20,000 emus migrated to the fields. 20,000, which you think is not that much.
No, it sounds like a lot.
it sounds like a lot
Farmers
to
are
me.
growing stuff.
The farmers are growing so
there's
much.
a new food source for them.
Giant food source, giant amounts of water pouring into the area because they have
irrigating.
they have to irrigate. So now these birds come in and are like, this is great. This was crap before. 20,000 of them. Now an emu, if you don't know, they're massive.
Yeah.
They're about 4 to 6 feet tall.
I'm scared of birds, by the way. It's one of my few phobias, that and heights.
So now-
they're like terrifying beings to me.
They're slightly smaller than like the ostrich, right?
They're like slightly smaller, but I think some of them can become around the same size.
Mm-hmm.
Like the really big ones, and it actually comes up later on because, yeah, it gets a little crazy. So they're eating these crops. Because they're eating the crops, it's also opening the gated areas because they're opening up sections of the gates, and now other critters are getting in, and they're losing a ton, especially at a time when they can't afford to lose it. They need food. The depression is happening. Like they need to farm, so they turn to the Minister of Defense, George Pierce, these veterans, and say, "You got to help us." Now, George Pierce,
He's a military man.
not a
World War
military man,
I?
not a military man.
Okay.
He was a cabinet minister for the Nationalist Labor Party.
Okay.
This guy served as a senator for 37 years and 24 years in cabinet. Those are both records. So this guy's
He's loved.
he's loved, he's savvy, he's worshipped, and they're like, "You got to help us." So
He's like our Mitch McConnell.
if
Yeah,
if I had to say who he was like, he's like Reagan.
Okay.
He's like that level of popular at this point. He's like beloved all over Australia, at least from what I read. I don't quote me if you're from Australia, but
Good
he
eye.
agreed, and he's like, "All right, I'm going to help you out. I heard in World War I, machine guns were working really great. I'm going to give you some of those. So
Shoot the emus.
these veterans, yeah, we're going to shoot the emus. They're just birds. You just take a machine gun them down. They're big. You'll
I
hit them.
know. Well, shoot us an emu.
There were some caveats with this. So it can only be military personnel using it, and the farmers actually had to provide food, housing, and ammunition
For the guys sent to kill the emu.
for the guys. So the government will say, "Hey, here's some ammunition, but you got to buy some more for them," because we're all together in this. So
They still sing songs of the great emu hunt.
you would be surprised. I don't think they do from this. Now, Pierce thought that they would make a good target practice for his soldiers, and he was dead wrong.
Why?
So that was the background. I'm going to get to the war now. The Great Emu War.
That's the
of
lead up.
1932. This was led by Major Meredith. The name is like JWB or something.
Okay.
He was the 7th Heavy Battery Royal Artillery. So this guy is legit. He's seen war. He's been in it before. He knows how to handle it.
From the shores of Gallipoli to the emu.
And now, here comes the timeline of what happens. The 2nd of November, they deploy at Campion. It might be Champion, but I'm not sure about the pronunciation of this. It's
It's
Campion,
Australian.
so you say how it is. It's the West Coast. They deploy there. And they spot 50 emus. And they're like, this is perfect. We're going to get them. But the birds are slightly out of range. So the locals decide, don't worry, we'll herd them. As they go to herd, you assume they move in herds.
They do move in herds.
Jurassic Park was wrong. The birds split up completely and run in different directions. Now, you're a machine gunner. You can only point straight. It's really hard to turn those. They're really heavy. They don't kill a single one.
They can't hit a single emu.
As they're spreading out, they're chasing
With
them.
rapid fire.
They're chasing them. They're moving the guns. Out of the 50, they kill about 12. By the end of the day.
That's not going to put much
That's
of
the
a dent in.
Oh,
No.
don't worry. It gets better. 4th of November, they got to change their strategy. Meredith is like, we got to do an ambush. We got to ambush these things because they're smart. They spot 1,000 emus, a herd.
Okay.
They're like, we got them. And they're heading right to their position where they set up the ambush.
Perfect.
They go to shoot. The machine gun jams.
Oh.
The birds see this and run. There's not a single sighting for the rest of the day.
This is like, so you watch Jurassic Park and you're like, how could the humans not just kill all the dinosaurs?
Oh, it gets better.
We can't even take out fucking emus
It gets
in
better.
thousands.
By day 4, the birds change their habits. So instead of traveling in herds of thousands, each pack now had the tallest leader. So how I said 4 to 6 feet, the birds would find the tallest one, and it would keep lookout while the others grazed in the wheat field because they realized they were being hunted.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. This happened. So now,
It's like the happening rules now. You got to get in smaller groups.
exactly. So now Meredith is like, okay, screw this. Mount the machine gun on a car.
Okay,
We're
now
gonna-
we're talking.
We're talking. Turns out machine guns at this time are not very accurate on cars. And it also turns out that they've been grazing the fields so much, the fields became really rough and they can't drive past them. So they'll start driving in like Flight of the Valkyries and the car just
It
gets stuck.
Oh, no. This is a disaster.
What year was this again?
1932.
All right, so the cars aren't great.
Yeah.
Cars aren't great.
It was then that the Australians came up with the long plan.
They had zero pathfinders.
Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to release a bunch of shit into the air. We're going to cause global warming. We'll kill everything,
Yeah,
including these damn emus.
This gets insane. 8th of November. Mind you, this has been 6 days. They're now at war with birds
And
for
they've
6 days.
Gotten
Yeah.
a grand total of 12.
They've gotten like barely anything at this point. In fact, the bird casualties by now, and remember, they're going out every day for just constant. They're constantly hunting these things.
Does the car still work, or did they break it?
The cars are working, but not well because the bird casualties are between 200 and 500
Oh, they got some.
6 days in. But they use 2,500 rounds.
No. And the people have to pay for it.
Yeah,
The
right.
people have to pay for it. This is tax dollars at best. So this ornithologist, I believe, is
Ornithologist.
ornithologist Dominic Serenity.
Serenity now.
States this. The Emu Command had evidently ordered guerrilla tactics, making the military equipment useless. This was a real quote. November 8th. this exact day where they find out they had to use 2,500 rounds to kill 200 to 500 birds, they now have to withdraw the royal forces.
The emus beat them?
That was the first attempt at the emu attack.
There's more?
There's one more attempt. There's a second attempt. Because the emu attacks on the fields continue after that because they realize nobody's hunting us anymore. Now we're going to go back in.
Right.
Now they're messing them up even worse than before. The veterans call for the government again to come back. The 12th of November, the minister decides to resume the military efforts. The thing is, Meredith already failed, but now he's got to go back in. So they get the guy who's failed, like, Meredith, you got to come in here because we have no experienced gunners that could do this. So he's like, fuck, here we go. It was already embarrassing losing one battle. Imagine having to go back to fight birds again.
You know you're just getting your balls busted at the bar?
What's the
I
matter?
might.
You can't kill a bird.
So November 12th, he gets resume battle. Go get them.
Okay.
November 13th, 40 emus killed total.
This is not
in
enough.
2 days.
This is not enough.
Yeah.
emus.
They are breeding like crazy. There's like 50,000 at this point.
And they're just like basically having an orgy in front of them.
Yeah.
Just showing that they want them.
Yes, exactly.
You'll do fucking nothing.
I think you got to play the long game. Attack the nests, right?
Yeah,
That's what I was gonna say.
that's
You
what they
gotta go
start
after the
doing.
eggs.
They start
Aliens
getting
rules.
the little. They start playing the guerrilla tactics. They start learning what they're doing. So by December 2nd, 100 emus are dying per week. But there's a problem.
The tide is turning.
The tide was turning. Another week passes. They're doing great. December 10th, Meredith states that 986 emus have been killed. They're on track. The problem is they used 9,860 machine gun rounds.
God.
10 bullets per emu to take it down.
One bullet doesn't take down an emu?
They're massive.
or you're missing.
Yeah,
You're also missing because you're
Yeah.
shaking and
Right.
they're scattering, and it's really hard to move
I
those
think a
machine
rifle
guns.
would be better, right?
Yeah.
Because they found out that it
what we
was
did to the
$10 per
buffalo.
round. Meredith is recalled due to the cost of taxpayers.
Let's be real. These are Australians. These aren't Americans. If we wanted them fucking dead, there wouldn't be an emo around today.
The military command in Australia said that if emus were actually put into battle, they can beat any army on Earth. From this, I'm not kidding. The aftermath.
That's hilarious.
They had to reinstate an emu bounty in 1934 to the civilians to say, you're now allowed, the civilians are now allowed to kill them. Go ahead.
Like the lanternfly.
They killed 57,000 emus.
That see,
Just killed by
all you gotta do is privatize it.
Lesson, government sucks. Fun fact.
Yeah.
John Cleese and Rob Schneider are making a movie about this.
I was just about to say this should be a movie.
They're making a movie. It's actually due to come out this year. I don't know if it will because of COVID.
That's a weird
I'll
cast.
watch it. I mean,
I would love to see this because
I love
apparently
John
it's
Cleese.
going to be a musical as well.
I want Rob Schneider to play the emu.
I think that
Yeah.
that might be one of like the best war stories I've ever heard because the Australian government lost. You actually look up online and it says like the amount of people who were in it and who won. And it's like the Australian government had to bail out.
So emus are still around, right? They're not.
Oh yeah,
Are they
they're protected now.
endangered? Or?
They're protected.
Yeah,
now.
Oh, they're protected.
Well, they're controlled. They're controlled
Okay.
because they
They have
really
emu
they
farms
mess up.
and stuff.
Yeah.
They mess up crops pretty easily.
That
clearly.
was a good story.
Yeah,
was good.
lighthearted,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So I have two things to take us out with. The first one is a game where Chuck is going to be the judge.
Okay.
All
What does
right.
that mean
Oh,
to
no.
play us out?
Yeah. So you each are getting a deck of cards, kind of.
Cards?
Feel free to look at them, and I will explain.
So can I explain what I'm looking at, or 'cause
Yeah.
this is
It's more of a guide. It's not something you need to memorize.
3 strips of paper.
Okay.
and
So this game is called Monster Fight. In this game, contestants will be given a deck of 3 historical figures. How they play the cards and when is up to them. The contestants must convince a judge or judges that their figure is history's greatest monster.
Oh my God!
The winner is determined based on strength of argument, passion, and attacking the opponent's figure. Hitler is not a playable character in this game because he would be an unfair card. So all your cards are equal. I know you're thinking that you're looking at your dud character and you're thinking that they each have a dud, by the way. They have a character that most people, or a historical figure that most people would say is kind or a good person. But you may end up putting them up against, for argument's sake, a Hitler. And then you will have to argue that your saintly figure is a worse person than Hitler.
Saintly.
Yeah, Chuck is the judge. So Gentlemen, throw down your first cards.
Wait, so we have to use all three.
You will use all three. It's 3 rounds. It's best of 3.
Oh, so this is like Pokemon almost.
Hold on. So
Yeah.
we're going to try and convince him we're the most evil.
That you have the most evil
And
person.
we're not going to say who it is.
No, you're going to throw it down and we're going to see, but you don't know who you're playing when. So you're going to put yours face down. So you'll see it's like 1A, 2A, 3A. So you put whoever you want to play down first, and Steve will put
okay.
his down.
So I want to play this first.
Okay, so,
I want to play this.
well, you can pick when. You don't have
this
to.
second and this third.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
so I have-
all right, so
I have
put the
mine.
one you're playing first, Steve.
Okay.
Face down.
in front of me.
You could pass it to Chuck if you want, and he could read it, and then you can pass it back.
Okay.
Ant, who are you playing? Pass it to Chuck.
All right.
All right, so what is our first matchup,
Is he gonna
Chuck?
look at them?
I'm going to read them.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can pass him back.
This one is Mao Zedong.
All right. Steve is playing Mao.
I played Mao.
You could pass that to Steve if you want. You don't
Yeah,
have to read the
yeah.
details.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm playing
Yeah.
now.
All right.
Okay.
Anthony is playing.
Mahatma Gandhi.
All right.
Who is history's greatest
Yeah.
monster?
All right. So, Anthony, I will let you go first. Argue why Gandhi is worse than Mao Zedong. Go.
Well, as we all know, Gandhi is a warrior. He killed dozens of Boers in the Boer War. He
Are these all facts that are on the piece of paper?
There's
that is
a
not
little
on the paper.
there's
There
a
are-
little
there
There's tidbits on.
there's
the
a
paper.
little bio about them.
Yeah.
Saying like things they've done, and I tried to help them out with the saintly figures.
I will say this. People tend to say that it is hard to be hateful or racist when you are close to the thing. For instance, if you if someone hated a group of people and then you sent them to live with those people, eventually they're going to warm up to them. Now, Gandhi went to Africa, okay, in the Boer War. He met tons of black people, lived among them for years at a time, still hates their guts. He's a racist. He's an evil man.
Is that true?
Yes.
Yep.
Really? Wow. So he's racist. He hates Boers.
He's a rabble rouser.
Well, okay.
He is looking to bring down the system, a revolutionary, some would say.
I'm going to pause you there and let Steve attack.
Mao is accredited for killing 40 to 70 million people through forced labor, executions, and starvation.
But
Ah.
did he really hate them, or was that just, what had to be done? Let's be fair here. I mean, if you're going to have a great leap forward, then you got to make that great leap forward.
70 million people.
Right. And when you pull off a Band-Aid, it has to be done fast and hard.
Women,
and look at Gandhi.
children,
He's whining and
elderly.
whining and starving himself. He's a real pain in the ass.
Did he ever kill a single human being?
Yes, Boers.
Single human being?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to call this round. Chuck, who will you give this round to? Remember, the winner is determined based on strength of argument, passion, and attacking the opponent's figure.
Ant won on passion. I'll give him that, but
Well, it's up to Chuck to determine.
I will say this though. My grandmother was a Boer. I mean, I mean, this is a tough one, but you gotta go with Mao Zedong as the worst
just-
monster.
Even based on the arguments and the passion, not.
Well, I'll say this.
take that W right there.
Anthony spoke loudly, but what he said didn't make a lot of sense. You said he killed the 70 million. He said when you pull off a Band-Aid, you got to do it hard and fast. Has nothing to do with how many people. I think maybe a lesser man than myself might have been tricked by your passion, but not I.
Okay, so
Big Mao won.
so round one to Steve.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
This is my round 2 pick.
All right.
You're not playing, Brian?
I'm the host.
He's hosting.
I'm the host. I'm the
He's
host.
hosting.
Okay.
All right.
I have a feeling I'm going to lose this one.
Steve, I don't know. Steve submits Mother Teresa versus Anthony's Genghis Khan.
Oh, shit. All right. I got
India
this.
versus Asia yet again.
All right.
All right.
right,
I guess,
Steve,
I,
you
guess
can
I
go
go
first.
first since I'm the
Yes.
nice one.
Yeah.
All right. Mother Teresa. One would think she's a saint. as most people in Christianity and religion would, or Catholicism. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because when the priest, Donald McGuire, was convicted of sexually molesting multiple children, Mother Teresa was criticized for defending him and urging that he be reinstated to the ministry after he was initially removed. Wrote letters saying she didn't believe in God at times and offered substandard care. She supported pedophilia.
What?
Clearly, she supported pedophilia. She supported the church. Church is a harbor for pedophilia. Pretended to be sainthood. Probably took a bunch of donations. Where did it go? We don't know. Never helped anyone. She died poor, but would be like
I'm going to pause you there. Anthony, you're allowed to attack.
Can I have a quick question? She never helped anyone. Is that true?
Mother Teresa is currently a saint. She has achieved sainthood. She is a good person, known only for charity and good works. Genghis Khan, on the other hand, killed so many people that the carbon footprint of the human race changed after his death. He has raped his way across 3 continents.
That's not a method of travel.
And left his seed in so many people that more human beings are a direct descendant of Genghis Khan than any other human being in the history of the world.
Brian has some
I do have a little Genghis in me.
Brian has some Genghis. We are here with Genghis Khan's great-great-great-great-grandson.
Hey, Brian's only alive because of that. How many people are alive because of Mother Teresa?
Hold on. We got to think. So he did some bad stuff, but created a lot of people, which is the opposite of killing.
It's like when you cut down a forest but replant.
Yeah.
Why am I acting against myself?
Does anybody say Alexander the Great was horrible for uniting a nation? No. Genghis Khan united half the world. Mother Teresa just caused problems.
All right, we're going to call it. Chuck, who won? Who is more evil, Mother Teresa or Genghis Khan?
Well, if I'm thinking about the performance of the let's call them, what should we call these people?
The competitors.
Yeah, the competitors. The advocates.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, God.
The advocates.
The
of evil.
accusers. The
accusers, yeah.
All of the above, really. Yeah.
Again, a sentence came out of Steve about how she never helped anybody. I don't know if that's true.
It's not true.
I don't know if that came from a factual source. Genghis Khan created a lot of people. I gotta go with Genghis Khan as the worst.
Okay. All right.
That's the right answer. That's the right
All right.
answer.
We come down to our final round, which actually should be competitive.
I was gonna say.
Because, it's only evil people left. Ooh. So, all right. So let's pass it to Chuck.
We probably should have done evil, then good, and try to do good versus good. That would have made a little more
I was
sense.
hoping it would come out naturally, but I did like you having to,
This is pretty good though because it's 1-1, and now we got 2 evils.
Exactly. Anthony, pass your final card.
Ant's going to shoot himself in the foot here. I'm giving you a guarantee.
Who are we fighting?
So Steve is the evil advocate of Stalin.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Anthony is the evil advocate of Pol Pot.
All right.
Now I'm gonna say right off the bat, I like Pol Pot's name.
All right.
I've always liked Pol Pot. I'm like, I wish that POL was more first names for different people.
I'll name my kid Pol Pot. Pol Pot Staton.
Yeah, exactly.
So
You gotta love alliteration.
I went first last time. I guess it's only right for for
Anthony goes.
Okay. Well, my guy, Pol Pot, you think, we tend to think that evil and genocide and hate really has gone the way of the dodo and only exists in the far and dim and distant past. But this was 1976 to 79 that the Khmer Rouge killed over 2 million people in the Southeast Asian, world. Babies torn limb from limb.
Not great.
Killing fields. He's most well known for something called the Killing Fields. So that should say enough right there.
Yeah.
Steve's guy, on the other hand, he's trying.
Well, I will let Steve go, and then you will get to attack.
Okay, so I will give the breakdown of my guy, Stalin. If you don't know him, because I would say more people know Stalin than Pol Pot. You could disagree if you want, but there's a good reason for that because
it's only because he's Uncle Joe and he's one of the allies.
He let you
speak. That right there should be a point off. As a young man, he was a robber and assassin. For almost 30 years, he reigned with terror and violence in the Soviet Union.
Yeah, well, he's a
He led to
robber of the
famine.
Tsar's
Hey, yo,
bank.
whoa.
Let's disqualify this man. He's not fit to have a competition.
All right, go.
Hold him back.
Anyway, decisions led to famine that killed millions. More than 1.5 million German women were raped after he invaded them. Invaded an innocent German town and raped and killed. All right, they weren't, is it? But he easily killed 20 million of his own people through
right.
starvation and freezing and arrest.
This is a man who ended the Second World War.
He also killed people himself.
He
was an assassin. Pol Pot never killed someone himself.
Oh, yes, he did, I'm
By his
sure.
own bare hands?
Probably.
Probably is not a definite. This guy was an assassin.
I've never heard of
And then
him
he killed
assassinating
20
anyone.
million people. He killed 20 times the amount of Pol Pot.
Yeah, well, they were bad people that needed to go, and they were called Nazis.
No. The Nazis, he killed more. 20 million of his own people died. The
Exactly.
Nazis, he killed even more. He
That's
probably
right.
killed like 60 million.
They deserved
Nazis.
it, right?
So Stalin killed 60 million
Nazis.
Nazis. That's
Yeah.
pretty
Oh,
good.
20 million innocents.
20 million.
And that's actually...
Innocents or communist scum?
He was the communist.
No.
Actually, Brian, I think your numbers are off here.
I just copied it. I didn't write this myself.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I think it's actually over 20 million.
I copied it from a website.
Look, Uncle
Okay.
Joe, this is a guy the American public loves.
All right, I'll stop you there. Chuck, who wins the final round of the inaugural monster fight?
Can I ask questions?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, yeah.
All right. Who did Pol Pot kill?
His own people.
But you kind of skirted over these numbers here. You told me a baby. You told
2
me
million.
a field.
2 million of his own men, women, and
What
children.
country?
Cambodia.
2 million versus 20 million. I mean, right there, that's tough. However, Stalin with the Nazi kills kind of makes him a hero.
It depends who you're asking.
I'm asking me.
He wasn't killing the Nazis to save the world. He was killing the Nazis to take land.
No, he was not. No, he was not. He was trying to save
The
the
Soviet
world.
bloc.
He's a good man.
It's the reason why the Ukrainian war is happening. It's the reason why he annexed Crimea. It's the reason why he is why Russia is evil right now.
What are you talking about? That's Vlad.
I knew he'd shoot himself in the foot for that. He hates communists. He hates Stalin.
It's Uncle Joe. Look, how many posters are there standing next to heroes like Churchill, Roosevelt, Stalin?
When America,
Good point.
when America goes into places for war, you know what we don't do? We don't rape women and children like the communists.
Tell
Russia
that
did.
to the Indians.
Still didn't. Not by mass.
Tell that to the Vietnamese at the My Lai
Still
massacre.
didn't. We didn't rape entire cities.
All right. I'm calling it. I'm calling the fight off.
Go on Audible.
All right,
Why
Chuck.
would turn on the American?
I know you have a soft spot.
All right. I got to go. I mean, it seems like I have to go Stalin as the worst of the two.
Is that based on the strength of the argument or the man himself?
I'd say first the man himself. Argument seems a little sarcastic. I gotta go Stalin. He seems worse.
The winner.
Okay, Steve
Luck
has
of the draw,
represented
though.
history's greatest monsters:
What a
Joseph
bunch of
Stalin, Mother Teresa, and Mao Zedong.
Now, and we know the worst is Mother Teresa. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Who did
Yeah.
more irreversible damage?
Yes.
I know that bothered. As a Roman Catholic, I purposely didn't give you that one because I knew you could not do it.
When talking about Stalin, Ant couldn't look me in the eyes because he knows he's like, I agree with him. I agree with him. I agree with him.
So there is one last thing I want to do before we get out of here.
Sure.
I didn't tell you guys, but the other day I have a bird infestation in my dryer vent.
Emus?
Emus, yes, there's emus in my dryer vent.
Okay.
Problem.
Yeah, so they
Are you
built-
roping us in to clear out the birds right now? 'Cause
No,
I'll be really upset.
so there's a bird nest, and I have to go up there and I have to pull the nest out, and like I'm trying to block them from going back in, and I'm putting stuff in, and it's a whole thing. But as I was clearing it out, a bird flew out at me from the dryer vent as I was on a stepladder, and I fell off,
You dud.
and I am a ghost. No, and I hit my head. And since then, something very strange has happened.
You can see the future?
No, I can see people's past lives.
Really?
Yes. And it's very weird. Everyone I see, there's someone famous. It's never like, oh, you were a dirt farmer. So I can tell who someone was in their past
But
life.
only if they were famous.
No, it's just so weird. Everybody
No
has
matter
someone
what, everybody
famous.
was
Yeah.
famous in the past life.
Just like, you know, whenever you go to a fortune teller, there's always like...
It's like the soul forks off into multiple people when you're that
Exactly.
famous. I see.
So
Brian is a man who's known for his segues.
Yeah, so
Is this the weirdest one ever?
this is real.
I don't even know where it's
No,
going.
this is no bullshit, man. I can now see who people were in a past life. You're not going to want to know yours publicly, trust me.
I'm intrigued.
Stalin.
I know where it's going with that.
So because we have a guest and I now have this ability,
Yeah.
I thought with future guests we can have them try to guess who they are through a series of 10 questions, and we have two history experts here that they can help.
Wow.
2?
Yeah, you and Tony. So Chuck is going to try to determine who he was in a past life.
Wow.
And I will tell you, it's really weird. It's never anyone obscure.
Do you have to like touch him inappropriately?
It's like the dead zone, but I grab your ass. So Chuck may have not noticed why when he came in I was just caressing his ass, but it was actually so I could read him.
I thought that was a quick hello.
Yeah. So you can ask questions. You can work together. You have 10 chances to figure out who Chuck was in a past life.
Does Chuck know
And-
who he was in a past life?
No, and I will tell you this.
Do you know?
The weird thing
Yes,
is,
he
it
knows.
always kind of has a connection in a way to who they are now.
Wow.
All right. So it's
Yeah.
like 10 questions.
All right.
So is it
And we
yes or
try
no
to-
questions that we can ask?
You can ask almost anything, and I will do my best of my abilities to answer.
man or woman?
It is a man.
So we have to go the film route
Okay.
because that would make sense.
Right.
Right.
Well, think of Chuck. You know, he's a multifaceted person, right?
All right.
Okay, so it has something to do with who he is now.
Yeah,
And
it's
we know it's a man.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
a man.
That's at least 50% gone.
Okay. Is it someone?
well. Chuck has to ask, and then
Oh.
you guys will help. him.
Oh, I see. So I
right.
shouldn't be asking the questions. He should.
Yeah.
So let's think of how to narrow this down.
Oh, okay.
Is this? Let's see. So
Whatever this is,
I will tell you,
If a pun's included, go with that.
Think pun. Brian loves puns.
I love a pun too.
I will tell you this: the person will always have died before you were born.
okay. So
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
That's actually
This person died before 1984. Then.
Okay, so ask yourself.
Unless Brian's math sucks.
Ask yourself what is superficial enough that Brian would associate with you, and then ask about that. So go ahead.
Oh, jeez.
Give me a famous director / actor who passed away around a little bit before that time. That's like thousands and hundreds of thousands
Well,
realistically.
but we're. I mean, you're the man
yeah.
asking the questions.
Was
dude.
I mean, I think we should start more general.
I think we should too. And since we are all thinking film industry, I think we should start with that.
Well, I was gonna say we could just say like, is this person someone that was involved in the arts in general?
Good question.
Yes.
yeah, we're right.
So that's two questions.
Someone in the arts.
What was the first question? Is it a man
Is
or
it
a
a man
woman?
or woman?
That was
All
my
right.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't ask that.
It was too good. I had to deduct it from Chuck.
So let's see. We only have 10. So we have 8 left. How about this? Was this person known mostly for an individual work or for a career of works? That's a good question.
Ooh.
Good
The
question.
career is so expansive, but I would definitely say known more for individual work.
That's you.
You just said yes to
contradicted
both.
yourself.
Yeah. You said the work is expansive, but he's known for individual.
He's done a lot of shit.
So it's
He's known
okay, so
specifically
it's-
for one thing.
Everyone at this table knows exactly who he is.
Aha!
Well, he said it's somebody popular.
So that's 3.
Let's see.
Knowing,
I
okay,
think we need to narrow down the time frame.
I
think
I
we
have a
should
good
ask
idea.
if this is a
I have a
20th
good idea.
century person.
I think you have to ask: was the media in color or black and white?
It's Al Jolson because he just loves blackface. And Chuck can't get
Because
enough.
now you're gonna get like when,
Mommy, how I love you, how I love you.
like, was the bulk of work early? Was the bulk of work later? I
Okay.
think that kind of narrows down the time frame, right? Without going
Well-
too specific.
You could say, did this person become popular after 1950? That's a question we could ask.
Okay.
Yeah,
They were popular before 1950.
there you go.
All
Oh,
right.
I think I know who it is.
Really?
Yeah, but I can't say.
If they get the history
Does this
guys guess
person-
and they're wrong, they're out.
Does this person know anything about the finest French champagne?
He has to ask it.
Chuck
You can't
has-
ask-
yeah.
You can't answer that.
I don't know what that reference
Just
is.
say anything.
Just do anything.
If one of the history guys guesses and they're wrong, they're eliminated and they cannot help anymore.
Okay.
That's tough.
All right. So it's before 1950.
He was famous before 1950.
I'm thinking this person might have had more, like, might have done other creative things than just film. That's my guess.
You're giving Brian too much
Is that a
credit.
question?
How about this?
You can ask that.
What do you think we should ask it? Because it's going to help a lot.
Sure,
The
sure,
answer.
yeah.
Is this person famous for? Should we specify more than just film, or should we say in multiple different?
Well, we don't even know if it's film. You said
We
the
don't know.
arts before.
It's the arts. So I guess. How many questions do we have left?
7.
7.
Oh, we have a bunch.
Oh, we got a lot. Fucking use them.
Oh yeah, use it. Go
Willy-nilly.
ahead. Yeah.
So, is this person famous in more than one? I don't want to use the word genre.
Field?
Medium,
Medium is good.
Yes.
Okay.
and it's before 1950. So it's probably. I got a question. Was this person well known for their outfits?
I know who you're thinking, and the answer is no.
Wow. Okay.
Not for their
You thought
outfits.
Elvis, didn't you?
Well, I'm just trying to think of someone who
Okay.
was famous in multiple mediums before 1950, which is a limited amount of people.
Yeah. So that's 5, right?
We have 5
5
left.
left.
Interesting.
Think.
Interesting.
Think.
Music and film. We got to imagine.
Well, you have to remember if they're famous before 1950 and they're
Right.
doing music and film and
Right.
possibly
How do we know it's
directing,
music and film?
That's the guess. That's my guess.
that's the guess because
What are the other two going to be?
I mean, it could be radio. It could be. I mean, Beaver knows. I'm thinking it's Orson Welles, but I'm not.
well now you're out.
I
Well,
haven't
we didn't-
made the guess. I'm
Is that-
just saying that's my thought.
Oh, that's your
process
so
of-
I'm allowed to say my thought process.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Chaplin
You're thinking Chaplin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
because it's before 1950.
Yeah.
Multiple mediums. He did music. He
Now
did.
I don't know Chuck as well as the two
movies.
of you, but I always assumed he's more of a behind-the-scenes type of guy. Is that correct?
Who?
Him.
I'd
Him?
say so.
Behind the scenes, yeah.
So
I think it depends.
Yeah, it
But-
depends.
Because he's the lead singer of a band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has a podcast.
Multifaceted,
okay, we'll learn-
multi-talented.
we'll learn a little
So
bit more now.
Let's see. Because your radio thing is so interesting. It's just hard to pinpoint people that were famous in radio.
Well, remember, I said it's not obscure. Everyone here knows him.
right.
that's why I said
So it's not going to be
Around
like
that thought
Jimmy
frame.
Karam. He was the host of like CBS in 1940.
We're
It's not
getting-
something like that.
We're not getting an obscure painter from 1910.
Yeah.
Right.
Did we say it was before the 50s? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he was famous before the 50s. That doesn't mean he was like dead before the 50s.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Which could be the next question, right? Like,
So you do music. Mm-hmm. Music and film. Music and film.
Let's see.
Is it Sinatra? Maybe.
Ooh, that's a good one. I didn't even think about that.
Sinatra did do multiple mediums.
Yeah.
One best actor.
One of you guys can use a guess and possibly.
You want me to
think
do
you
it?
have to-
I'll do it.
No, I think you have to ask one more question before we guess.
Okay.
I think you have to ask. We have to pinpoint what this person was in their medium and what they were most famous for. So something like, were
Hold
they
on,
most
hold on,
famous
hold
for
on.
movies? Were
Let's
they most
narrow it
famous
down a little
for
further.
that? Yeah.
Let's narrow it down a little further.
We
Is
gotta
this
go
an
further.
American?
This has to be an American.
We don't know that.
It's-
We don't know that.
I mean, I can't think of who would not be an American though. That's the only
Famous
thing.
famous
But I'm
for
saying
1950.
let's make sure of it. Let's make sure of it. Ask the question.
I don't know if I want to waste a question on that. I just can't even think of someone that's not American. That's the thing. You know what I mean? It's like, who
Yeah.
are we gonna say? That,
Before 1950, it's
yeah, communication.
That would eliminate Chaplin. He's British.
He is British.
That's true. But he was famous in America.
So what?
He was basically, for all intensive purposes, he's British, but realistically, his life was in America for until the end of it.
Is that the only person we're eliminating by that?
I don't know. I don't know. I want to narrow the parameters. I want to get location. I want to get time period.
Let's see. Let's see.
Well, we know when they were famous. We don't know when they
We
died.
don't know when they were famous. We
don't
just know it's before the 50s. A long time before that. You know, thousands of years. Namely.
Well, they're not going to be famous for mediums that are
relevant to you.
or relevant to like basically like people being able to be affected by
Let me
it.
reiterate this. And this person, because it's the past life, they have some relevance to what he is now.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
Right.
he
So,
said.
Yeah.
you know, there's no
Yeah.
ancient podcasters.
Yeah.
like,
Let's see. How
be
about
honest.
okay? Would the average person recognize them by sight?
Oh, good question.
That's a good question,
that's very good.
right?
Oh, this is hard.
Yeah.
If it's hard for you, that's a no.
Everybody knows this person,
Right.
but I don't know if it's by sight. So to be honest, I'm unsure if the average person would. I think everyone at this table would.
Question doesn't count. Then we can keep going.
But no, to be sure, I will say no, the average person would not recognize them by sight.
I think that
And if I'm
Chaplin.
wrong and this leads to you guys getting it wrong, I apologize and that's on me.
That eliminates Chaplin.
That eliminates a lot of visual media.
Yeah, that eliminates most visual.
I think Chaplin is
It's
very
gone now.
recognizable.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Yeah.
So
and that would remove guys like Sinatra
It would remove Sinatra
or
completely.
Orson Welles.
Orson
So,
Welles,
like-
maybe not so much.
right.
Orson Welles.
He starred in Citizen Kane. People know who Orson Welles is. He's in commercials.
I'll tell you, this guy is in a giant movie that is a smash hit, played at least once a year.
Now, that may be a big hint because that implies it's
Holiday.
a character.
Holiday stuff.
No. Well, yeah.
Once a year
but
is Christmas-
It
like
implies
Christmas
it's a
Carol.
character that maybe we don't see.
Yeah.
Like, first one that jumped in my head was the Wizard from The Wizard of Oz, but we do see.
Well, no, but played once a year might just be a holiday song,
Right.
Right.
right?
I bet it's movie.
Well, he just said played once a year.
Played once a year.
So it's
Ten
either a movie or a
Commandments is
song.
played
Who
once
does
a year.
who does the snowman? Burl Ives in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I'm imagining it's not
That
Burl
would be
Ives.
really, really. That's not popular enough, though. Like
Yeah.
this.
And Jimmy
the-
Durante does the narrator guy, right?
Uh-huh.
Ah, cha cha cha.
The image, the fact that they're popular before 1950.
Yeah.
Right?
And Chuck does like Christmas.
That's true.
It's
I
played,
love Christmas.
It's played once a year, but most people wouldn't recognize this person. That's confusing me.
I have an idea.
Well, they might not recognize the person by name. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I think they would know the name before the face.
I have an idea. Is it Mel Blanc? Voice of Bugs Bunny? Big career, known for one thing more than everything else.
I would say
I
I
don't
don't know
know.
because he said everyone at this table would know them by sight, and Mel Blanc is a tough person
It's
to know
also
by
multiple mediums.
sight. So let's see.
He said multiple mediums.
How
That
many
means
questions do you guys have left?
I think
5.
Four.
4, yeah.
Yeah, the sixth one was the one that was.
Once a year.
So let's think about once a year.
That's weird.
Let's think about once a year movies and songs. So
Okay.
it's obviously Christmas songs, right?
Not necessarily, because like look at Ten Commandments. It's every Easter, right?
Sure, but I mean, no, I'm collecting everything. I'm not
Okay,
saying
all right,
it
yeah,
has
yeah,
to be
yeah.
holiday things.
So definitely Christmas
Sure.
is in there,
Yes.
and then if you think of summer big movies or movies that are just huge that are before 1950, what do we have?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. That's what I'm saying. Wizard of Oz for sure. Is that before 1950?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
it.
yeah.
39.
Oh,
Yeah, 39. So Wizard of Oz for sure.
That's like so much noir stuff.
Gone with
that's
the Wind.
yeah.
Gone with the Wind. Singing in the Rain, maybe. That's a big one, but
I think we have to ask what the most popular medium was.
Yeah, ask him directly. What is he most well known for?
Is the most popular?
Why are we
medium
beating around the bush
movies?
with this?
all right. Is his most popular medium film?
It's so close and it's so intertwined. I'm going to say yes, but it is so narrow. It's like you can't tell the difference. Practically.
Okay.
It-
This is a
okay.
performer. 1950s performer. Famous in movies, famous in music.
It's got to be music.
It's gonna be somebody big, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so it's so intertwined, music and film before 1950,
But it's not.
and it's not Elvis, and it's not. Is
Wait,
it?
I mean,
Maybe we're thinking about this wrong. What about like a musical score type of guy, like a John Williams? But I know obviously not him.
Yeah.
Is there somebody
Remember, I
else?
said it's known obscure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be like Pavel Jones, you know?
so who's like up there with Elvis at that time?
Yeah.
Are we getting close?
You guys are. I feel like you're on the cusp of getting it.
Well, so one person I'm thinking about, but I'm thinking that maybe I'm wrong about the time period, is probably Johnny Cash.
That's a
Right?
guy definitely started in the 40s, 50s, right?
But he wasn't popular for film.
Yeah, and he was also. I mean, he made. Yeah.
It wasn't neck and neck. He was all
I mean,
music.
he was still alive in like 2007 or something, so he couldn't have been that much before the 50s.
Yeah, he died before 84.
No, yeah, that's right. He died before 84. Okay, he died before 84, so it's obviously
Right.
not Johnny
Yeah, it's
Cash.
not Johnny Cash.
All right, so we got Cash, we got Elvis, we got Chaplin. They're out. Let's think about this. Who could we possibly be missing? This is so interesting. It's funny because it's one of those things that's almost like a riddle where you feel like you're like, there's something so obvious that we're not getting.
It's so obvious. I'm shocked no one is like
Bela
even said it in
Lugosi. No, I'm just
passing.
We got this.
Yeah, Bela Lugosi, the singer of Monster Mash, obviously.
That's great. I love that. All right, I bet it does have to do with Christmas. I bet Christmas is a part of it.
Ask him. What do we got? How many we got left?
Is he famous for
have,
something
like-
related to Christmas?
Yes.
3 questions. Now we have 2 questions.
I literally mentioned Christmas specifically before.
All right, I know you did. I know.
Well,
so,
I kind of figured that, but
so It's a Wonderful Life. Who's the star? Yeah,
Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart. It's
But
probably
would-
not Jimmy Stewart.
would most people
Not
recognize that? It's somebody. Apparently, it's somebody so popular that like you recognize the name, but you don't recognize the face. That to me is confusing.
No, that could be.
The fact that we don't know the face implies, I think, a song or known for
Yeah,
a song.
you'd have
Well,
to,
Christmas.
right?
You got to think Christmas. So yeah,
Bing Crosby. Yeah.
Bing Crosby.
Yeah.
That's a.
But he's also known for film,
Yeah, and everyone knows his face.
like film and
And Bob Hope.
music,
and
but
fucking-
more so music. But it's close. I think
Is Bing Crosby famous for film?
Yeah.
What is he in?
I could not point out that
The-
person's
the
face.
one where he goes
or name.
with the 2 sisters to the cabin for Christmas.
White
Christmas-
Christmas.
White Christmas.
White Christmas.
I couldn't point out their face or name. But then again, I'm not a pop
I can
person.
because he's on the cover of one of his Christmas albums, I think, with a Santa hat.
Well, we have 2 more questions left, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you each get a guess.
Bing Crosby is going to be as at the top of mine. I think Burl Ives is too weird.
Earl Ives. He was on the Monty Python shit.
Was he?
Oh, no, I'm thinking of...
Milton Berle?
I think I'm thinking of Burl Ives. I don't know. Don't worry about it.
Bing Crosby's at the top of my list right now. Christmas is so interesting before 1950. That's interesting.
Well, he was famous.
What are the big ones?
He was famous
March of the
around
Wooden
that
Soldiers.
time, but he died.
34th Street, Miracle on 34th Street. Wonderful Life.
Somebody listening is pulling their hair out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
March of the Wooden Soldiers gets played every year on TV.
Yeah.
Who's in that? The 2 guys. I can't think of their
Laurel
name.
and Hardy?
Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah. Not music, really.
What are the most famous Christmas songs that are like sung by movie stars? I don't get it. Before 1984.
You guys got to take some guesses.
Yeah, this is getting ridiculous. All right,
I don't know. I
I'm
don't
gonna
know
guess.
anyone.
I'm gonna guess.
Sure.
All right.
I'm gonna say is Jimmy Stewart.
No. Anthony cannot help anymore.
Okay. If you have any idea, I could guess for you.
I think
What's
that
your
Bing
heart?
Crosby is the only person I can think of right now that's kind of in both worlds.
I'll guess that for you to give you a.
Yeah, do it.
All right, Ben Crosby.
It is Bing Crosby. That is correct.
All right, I'm gonna say.
Yeah. And here's why.
Everyone knows his face.
I would.
That was the only thing that made me question.
Do you know his face like directly?
I think that there is a Christmas album that's the cover is very, very simple, and it's him, and he's wearing a Santa hat that's kind of long, and it's a very famous Christmas cover album, and that's what I know it's
So
from.
the question was with the average person. So
Yeah.
I was thinking if I went to like someone.
Yeah.
And I was
I'm
like,
not a
who is
teenager,
this?
But fucking
Yeah.
You know, that's why it's not like I feel like everyone would know Elvis. So
Yes.
that's why I was like kind of on the edge.
For sure.
But can you understand why I picked that?
Yeah, for sure.
He's a
Was it
singer, musician. He
Yeah.
got into films and movies.
Yep, and he loves
You know,
Christmas.
he beat his kids, which is something you're going to do one day.
Denise was famous for that.
Denise Crosby, yeah, that's his granddaughter.
On Star Trek: The Next Generation.
That was good. That
Yeah.
was really good.
So-
it was
That was
tough.
tough.
It was
That was
tough.
tough.
It was tough.
But like I said, it wasn't someone obscure.
no,
right?
definitely not. No, that was great. That was really good.
So that's going to do it for this episode.
Yeah.
Chuck, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having
You
me.
have anything you want to plug before we let you go?
For late August, let me think. Arbor Day's around the corner. I don't know.
Labor Day?
Nothing really. I mean, I have my podcast, the Chuck and Brad Podcast. You can find us at chuckandbradpodcast.com or the Chuck and Brad Podcast on every podcast platform. That's a good way to do it.
All right.
We got to do
Thank you
picks.
for joining
Yeah.
us, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to plug your Patreons that you do?
Yeah, you know, I work on the Tell 'em Steve Dave Patreon.
It's quite good, I hear, especially that Bond show.
And the Tuesdays with Stories Patreon, patreon.com/TESD and patreon.com/Tuesdays. And yeah, you know, I work on Mike Birbiglia's podcast, Working It Out. And that makes sense, I think.
All right.
Those
Awesome.
4 things.
Thank you. We got to pick our next movies. I almost forgot. So, Anthony, what is your pick?
I'm going to finally break the World War II seal on this show.
Oh, we've been
which
avoiding
I
it.
think all 3 of us have been avoiding like the plague, right?
Yeah.
And the reason for
a
that
rabbit
is just
hole.
because there's so many.
It's like we'll just get lost in it and
Right.
just do it
We're
endlessly.
We're
going
gonna
to
do
do a show
it.
just on that.
There is a new film out on Netflix called Mincemeat, which of course is about Operation Mincemeat. So we'll be doing that show.
I'm very excited. And Steve?
I'm going to do a request.
Yes, it was a request.
The Untouchables.
The Untouchables. And Ant requested that it was done, so we will do The Untouchables. And
Excited.
I have a request of my own, and it's also our next guest, who I'm very excited about. Our next guest requested that we do the movie Invincible, starring Mark Wahlberg, and the guest is none other than the great Walt Flanagan.
Got yourself the
Nice.
big fish there.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy to pod with Walt.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you happy to spend an hour talking about a team that is located in a wonderful city that I personally am a huge fan of?
Well, it's your favorite. We know that. He yelled at me once off mic because I made fun of Philly on the show. He was like, "You can't make fun of Philly. We're trying to get listeners there." And he yelled at me. He was really angry.
It's true.
Yeah. He like threw the headset. He was all angry.
I threw the headset.
Yeah. All right. So, you want to say bye?
Bye, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Tell 'em Steve Dave, for letting us use your studio.
Oh, yeah. I like to do the
You
thank
didn't
you.
do it, so I'm
Yeah,
doing it
you're
for
just
you.
Well, I'm
slow.
letting you guys
Yeah,
go
you're
and then
too
I
slow.
do it.
You're too slow. Thank you for stopping by and listening.
I want to give a big thank you to Tell 'em Steve Dave, Walt, Get 'em, and the guys letting us record in their studio. I'm like a robot. I can't go off script. It fucks with me. Big thank you for letting us.
sweating.
Yeah. Big thanks letting us record in the studio. You can follow the podcast on all social media: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Reviewing History, RViewPod on Twitter. You can email us, reviewinghistorypod@gmail.com. You could follow me personally on Twitter @Brian Rupert or Instagram @Brian Rupert. Also, check out our Letterboxd. I rank every single movie we watch on the show, along with the other guys. They do it as well. You can find that in the show notes. And I also personally review every single movie I watch in my life because I have nothing better to do. So check that out. Follow us, and thank you for joining us. Bye. Thanks again, Chuck.
Oh, thank you.
I am the P-Man! I am the P-Man!